This is Coach Lee, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about why your ex hasn't come back to you yet. Click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I have a new video. A lot of people, most likely in your shoes, will go through periods where they become impatient, and understandably so, because if you want your ex back after they've broken up with you, you miss them, you're hurting, you're wondering what the future holds, you're going to wonder, why haven't they come back yet? Is this working? Is no contact working if you're using the no contact rule? And so there's a lot of things to consider, and I want to walk you through 5 of them in this video, because just because your ex has not come back yet does not mean that they're not going to come back. One of the first things I usually tell people who are panicking and hurting after being dumped is you don't have to get your ex back today to get them back, because usually a lot of the things people do incorrectly are caused because they think they have to act immediately, as though their ex is slipping away off of a cliff, and if they don't save the situation right now, that they can never get their ex back. And usually that's not the case. Usually time is on your side, and the odds actually improve when you don't do the things you feel like you should do. Usually your instincts deceive you in this moment. And I have other videos on that. That's not what this video is about. But just know, if you have just been broken up with, that you do not have to get your ex back today, this week, or even this month to get them back, and that time is actually on your side. I encourage you to look at some of the videos I will link to in the description below here on YouTube for more information on how that works and how you can do the right things to give you the best chance of getting your ex back. So, reason number 1 that your ex has not come back to you yet and that you have not gotten your ex back yet is that they are too early in the process and in the stages that they go through during no contact. Now, what I mean by that is that there are several stages that your ex will go through while you're using the no contact rule. And I have a video called Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact. I'll link to that in the description below and you can look at that. But if they haven't gone through those stages where they are more likely to actually make a move, to reach out to you, to try to see if you're able to be gotten back, and if they have not felt what they need to feel, then that's the reason. That's why they haven't done anything yet, because they don't have enough motivation. Attraction has not increased enough, which if you stay in no contact, that's usually what happens. And as I give these reasons, I'm not giving them in order of importance. I'm just going through a list that makes the most sense as far as the order as I walk you through it. Now, the second that I'm going to talk about, the number 2 reason why you haven't gotten your ex back and your ex has not come back to you yet, is that they are fighting themselves. And someone can even get to the final stage, and the stage that they will go through in no contact, where they're afraid that they're going to lose you. And they can still hold out because they're fighting themselves. Now, why would they fight themselves? Well, some of it can just be pride, especially if you two had some arguments near the end of the relationship before the breakup. If there were some things said, if they think you said something that sticks with them and that they feel like that they don't want to give you the victory or something like that, it can be kind of petty. But if they are fighting themselves, which means they want to get back together with you and they miss you, but they're fighting themselves, that's a reason why. That can last a while. And it's a little bit of a difficult thing because it can also help them move on. They can actually use that to numb themselves over time and give themselves a reason. It's sort of the last straw in terms of what has to happen for them to reach out to you. If they feel enough of a sense that they must fight themselves because they don't want to give you the victory, then that can kind of get them down the road enough to where some of that desperation cannot be there. Now, the good news is, if you've watched some of my other videos, I've told you if there's something on the table where you've said something harsh, where you've said something hurtful or mean, that if you have apologized for those things and just gotten it out of the way, that's sort of an objection that's off of their list, and that they won't necessarily feel the need to keep you from getting the victory or feeling like, well, you win because I'm coming back to you and giving you the power back. So if you've already done that even if they fight themselves, it will be a much weaker fight and a shorter fight. And the odds are still good that if they are in that stage where they believe they could lose you and that causes enough pain inside of them, that they will take action to try to see if they can get you back, to see if you're at least open to the idea. So that can be a good thing if you have apologized. If you've just gotten that out of the way. Now, that doesn't mean you should do it more than once and you should just constantly turn an apology continuing into a beg so that you're saying you're sorry, but what you're really doing is trying to use it almost to browbeat them into coming back to you, like you're trying to get them back by brute force or blunt force or whatever you want to call it. Don't use it that way. Once you've apologized once or maybe twice, no more. That's when it has to be something they reflect on and they must make the decision. You will not have better odds by apologizing more. You just start to look weak. So keep that in mind. Number 3 on my list, just to get this out of the way, is that your ex has reached a point where they have reflected, they have come face to face with the idea that they could lose you, that you could move on with your life, and that if they ever changed their minds, that even then that they couldn't get you back, that you would not want to come back. Your ex has come to that point and they've said, okay. In other words, your ex has decided that they don't want you back. It happens. And sometimes even that is temporary. And we talk about a long amount of time later and your ex decides that that's not correct because they've had certain experiences in life and they have decided that you were a valuable part of their life and that they were wrong to see it any other way. And they've grown as a person and they come back to you. So there's very little in terms of there being a case to where it's just absolutely over and your ex will never ever come back, at least in terms of the possibility. Now, there are plenty of situations where exes don't come back. I'm just saying in terms of what is possible, it's rare that the door is ever completely closed. But that is a possibility, and I needed to mention it, even though I know you don't want to hear that. The 4th reason on this list of why you haven't gotten your ex back, why they have not come back to you yet, is one of the more difficult ones because it requires more time. And what it is that you have delayed them in some ways. Maybe you've reached out to them, or maybe you've tried to use your friends to get information and somehow that got back to them. Or you confided in your friends, which, as I have often said, you've got to be very careful about that. And that's usually a pretty big mistake if your friends are also friends with your ex, because a lot of times if you confide in them and you tell them how badly it hurts and how much you love your ex and miss your ex, they think they can help you. Even if you tell them, don't do anything, I just want to tell you this, they will think that they can help you. They tend to overestimate their ability to actually help you. And they'll go to your ex and they'll say, oh man, do you know how much he loves you and misses you and how much he's hurting right now? And they think that will be helpful, that your ex's heart will warm and thaw and they will realize how much they love you. Rarely does that happen because of things I've mentioned before in terms of we need attraction to come up. Your ex already assumes that you are missing them and hurting because they broke up with you and their ego's stroked from that. Even good people who care about you, care about others, they don't want to hurt you, and you know this is a good person who doesn't do things out of ego, just breaking up with you, being the one to dismiss you will raise their ego. They will think of themselves as more attractive than you. And that's part of the problem. That's the biggest obstacle we face. And if they think that you are just wallowing in darkness because you're without them, that you are depressed and hurt and down and out, they might feel badly for you. They might hurt for you. But there's a difference in them feeling pity for you and feeling attracted to you. And the difference is colossal. It's massive. It's the difference between a tax cut and a tax hike. Not even close. It's spread apart. And it will hurt you if you think they're the same thing. And a lot of people do. They think if they can get their ex to feel sorry for them, then they can get them back. They'll want to come back together with me because they'll feel sorry for me. And that's not how it works. So if you've done something to delay the process, and I have a video called Mistakes You Must Not Make During No Contact that I will link to in the description below, and I encourage you to watch. But if you have done one of those things and you have delayed them in some way, that can be a reason that you haven't gotten them back yet. Doesn't mean you'll never get them back. It doesn't mean it's permanent. Doesn't mean the breakup is permanent. Does mean it's delayed, at least. And that can be at least helpful in terms of you having an idea of what's going on and why it's not the end of the world and that you haven't fully lost yet in terms of getting them back. There are other things in life, obviously, but if your goal is to get your ex back, your goal is to get your ex back. If you want that, I'm not going to criticize you for that, because I know that when you care about someone, that you can't just flick a switch, because I'm connected to reality. So let's move on to the next reason. The next reason is tricky, and I wish there was a perfect answer that would just make a broad stroke and tell you exactly what to do with it. But I will give you some thoughts on it, and it's not something that's just totally in the dark, but it is something that's a little bit more difficult to deal with. And that is that your ex is not sure that you would forgive them and want to be with them again. Sometimes people think that if they break up with you, and this is them looking at it sometime later, they think, why would this person want to get back with me? Because I broke up with him, I hurt him, I embarrassed him, I made him feel bad, I let him hurt, I haven't contacted him. Does he forgive me? Does she forgive me? Does he want me back? Does she want me back? And they assume that you wouldn't be interested, that you would hate them and have no interest at all. And as you might imagine, that will make a lot of people just do nothing. They won't know what to do. Now, before you think, oh, that's me, and there's a lot of temptation for you to justify that and try to make that you, because I know that you deep down think if you can reach out, if you can rattle the cage, if you can contact your ex, that you could make something happen. I know that's what it feels like. I can tell you that's not true almost always, but I know that it feels like it is. And so you think, okay, then I need to reach out because I know my ex thinks I wouldn't take them back, and I need to reach out and say, yes, I'll take you back. It's not what you need to do. Take a quick second and get some information on my emergency breakup kit. There's a link to it in the description below, and I go into this and other details at higher level. I am going to get into this, don't worry, but I wanted you to know about my emergency breakup kit, which is the culmination of my 20 years in the relationship coaching service. There's a link to it in the description below. It's your guide to getting your ex back. So take a look, get information on my emergency breakup kit. Now, if you think that your ex thinks you won't take them back, that does not mean that you make that announcement. That does not mean that you instantly start trying to get them to come to the table and discuss a potential reunion of your relationship. What I would suggest that you do, if you truly believe this is the situation, and you should really and honestly take a look at the type of person your ex is. Are they able to speak their mind? Are they able to take risks? Do you really think that they wouldn't reach out to you if they wanted to get you back? Have you two ever been in this situation before where they've broken up with you and then reached back out to you? Because if any of those things are true, then basically it's unlikely that they don't feel like they can reach out to you, or they feel like that there would be no way that you'd want them back. That's very unlikely if your ex is that type of person. Now, if your ex has demonstrated otherwise, if you picture them and maybe they're more timid, they have maybe some anxiety associated with confrontation, or they have been in the situation before and you two have gotten back together in more of an indirect way where they were not really pushing for it and didn't think you'd take them back. In other words, if there's any kind of history that truly suggests that your ex would be afraid to reach out to you or would assume you would not take them back, then reaching out to them after a certain amount of time could be the thing to do. Usually somewhere after the 2.5 month mark or so, that if you truly believe that's the case, reaching out to your ex in a casual way could be just the thing. I do talk about this more in my emergency breakup kit, which I have linked in the description below. But basically, it would be a casual reach out where you would have the goal of just a polite, positive interaction with them, and you would let the conversation kind of go away. Just let it die, as there's not a whole lot to talk about, if that happens to be the case, or you just sense a little bit of coldness. You want your ex to kind of take over that conversation, ideally. And the goal that you don't necessarily need to push for right away, but that does need to be in your mind. It's the ultimate checkmate in your mind as far as this step is. You need to get your ex face to face, because you can do a lot more when you're face to face. You're most attractive when you are face to face because you have all 3 areas of attraction that you can utilize. So we're talking about physical attraction, intellectual attraction, and emotional attraction that you can utilize when you are face to face with someone. And that's what you want to happen. So your interactions should be open to that, especially if they were to mention it. The question is, well, they've asked me to get together for coffee. Should I? You should. They've asked me to lunch. They've asked me if I'm going to be at a certain place where we have been several times together this week. Do I tell them I will be there? Yes, you do. You're okay to see them face to face. It's not something that you're going to try to pull off this I'm cold towards you and you haven't earned it persona toward them. You don't want to look that way because remember, an attractive person, a person who has a great life, they're not vengeful. They're not sitting around trying to find a way to make the other person feel bad or trying to really get a message through to the other person of how much they hurt them. They're not going to be that way. If you're strong and you're over it, it's, yeah, no problem. We can have coffee. It'd be great to catch up. That's what a strong person would feel. And so just keep that in mind if you think that's the case and you decide to interact with your ex. I'm a big proponent in letting them come to you, but in some situations, I have to be honest with the information I have after 20 years, and I can't just be blindly loyal to a philosophy all the time, like, to be honest with you, some other coaches are. Sometimes it's okay to reach out to your ex. I'm sure that will just break my channel, but it's okay sometimes to reach out to your ex if this is the situation you truly believe that you are in and you honestly see yourself in. So those are some reasons that you haven't gotten back together yet with your ex. Doesn't mean that you won't, doesn't mean that it's permanently over, but it could mean some more things need to happen and that you just need to sit tight and be patient and let them come to you. That's usually my default, and that usually gives you the most in terms of opportunity to get your ex back. Please subscribe to my channel. Just click the button below to do so and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when I have new videos. Take a look at my emergency breakup kit in the description below. I also link to some other videos of mine that will be helpful and are similar in topic. This should give you some more encouragement in your situation. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.